not knowing what's happening? That's ignorance. Well, I'm not going to be prejudiced because you don't know how to or what it would mean and what would you actually go against if you don't have a clue. Now, just happened yet last night, they said they're going to be building the telescope here. And yeah, you got lots of people. Well, we're going to stop it. We'll fight. We'll go to jail if we have to. Put them all in jail. Here's something. See, being aware is important first. Then making the judgment call is second. Is it wise to stop them building the telescope in Hawaii? They're talking about the top of a mountain that nobody lives on. That there's 13 telescopes there right now. So building one big one is wrong for science. Most people believe science is important. Oh, well, that's land. Oh, well, yeah, that's land. Go across the United States. I'd say about 40% of the land in the United States has cows staying and pooping on it. That's how many cows we slaughter in a week, in a month. But here's something that could bring a revenue into Hawaii, which it needs. And they're talking bad about it. Sure, there's some people talking good about it. But, like, they were trying to boycott it last year. A couple of people went to jail. But look at the native people. We're going to go into that. But the native people have it much harder than anybody else does. For the reason they're still not considered equal to the white race or the red race, to the black race, or the yellow race, or any other race inside the United States. And that's pathetic. Well, we're going to go into this planet. There's about 2.4 billion Christians, 2 billion Muslims, and then you start breaking the religions down, and it's less and less. But why is it there's so much killing between them going down? Because they have no clue to a God. So to say you're in a religion, and even if you put the word God there, why? An ego trip? If you don't understand God, don't use the word God. If you don't understand something, don't use it. If you don't have an experience within it, you have no right talking about it. I'm sick and tired of people telling stories about a scenario which they never experienced or even know. Dreamland and fantasy world is just that. Put stupid on a cover. This is stupid, but you might enjoy it. If you're stupid and you like stupid thinking. When you put truth or real biography, which I did on my second book, it's based on actual facts that I experienced, went through, and was a part of. And that's what life is. Your experience, not what you dream. You have anywhere from 100 to 200 dreams a night. And they're all different. They're all exciting if you get in them and listen to them, or bad, good, and different. I mean, you can rearrange them if you know how to and work within them. It's an incredible space. But what if they were all true? You had 10 in a row that were true. You'd be so drained, tired, and run down every which way in the morning when you woke up. But you don't use your physical body really in a dream. So, where are we going with this? Well, we're talking about how the society is being created by people that say they're Christian, that still go out and rape people, abuse children, go out drinking, and driving over people. The same as the Pope, who they give their power to, protects child abusers. Thinks he can rewrite the Bible from his ego? Then to say hell's not real. I mean, all the things that he does. He doesn't know anything about Adam and Eve. For him to say it's a fake story, I mean, it is, but what's he really know about it? Nothing. Unless he had the skeletons of them in a cave, and how would he prove that Eve was taken from Adam's ribs and all those kind of things? Does he have skeletons of the devil from there? I mean, it's so ridiculous. But for him to turn around and say this religion's wrong, I'm going to rewrite it. Well, again, I challenge anybody on this planet about Jesus, especially when they say ridiculous, horrible things about him. They don't know him. They don't know what he was teaching. He wasn't a love and light person. Yes, he radiated complete light, and that could be perceived as love if you're at a higher level. Children can see it. Children ran to it. Were they running to love, or were they running to the light? They were running to the light. That's why all the pictures of Jesus has that halo around him, because he radiated so much light, and that's true. If you met him, you could see it. If you were slightly aware. Well, we have to move on. And every show that I do, I'm as honest as I can be. I'm giving you as much information as I can in the time that I have. Sure, I'm a little bit slow and I get caught up in a little thing here and there and keep it a little bit longer than I want to. But everything's important. How important you make it in your life is up to you. But when one uses prejudice to turn around somebody else's view based on not a true prejudice, it's completely wrong. That's called karma. But they don't see it. And the person that's being twisted and pulled into something else doesn't see it because they're not aware enough to know that. They can't make the right judgment at that time. Judgment has to be based on wisdom and knowledge. They go together. They're two separate words, but they need to be together. One has to do with the actual experience, and the other one has to do with the knowledge of what happens after the things go through, by being aware of all the experiences. Now, talking on things like marijuana, when people say, well, I never smoked it, well, then don't turn around and say what it does, how bad it is, or what it can do. You don't know. You're going to listen to some idiot, some scientist that maybe had a bad trip, he did acid as he was smoking or whatever, and he doesn't know the difference, to say that marijuana leads you to hardcore medicines. Well, every drug that the government gives you, it leads you to another medicine because they don't help you with whatever you have in the first place. But that's okay. They destroy your liver, your kidneys, and everything else. But if they, and here's a problem. Now, recently, they found a cure for something, hepatitis C. So what do we do next? Charge $70,000 for it. That's a house. That's more than money that most people could have to buy a house to cure a disease which they created. Sorry, people, 90% of every disease and sickness we have was created by men, not God. Seriously. Native people were never sick. Native people inside the United States never got sick. They died very simple ways. Being run over by a buffalo, falling off a cliff, a super old age. And then the average elder lives to 100. 2 or 3 years ago, I think about 20 elders died within 1 year, or that reached 100. I'm not going to get into that, but Native people find cures. And they always say, whatever is there, meaning the sickness, the antidote's next to it. That's without bringing it in from Europe or Britain or some other country into the United States, because the cure is not right next to it then. But luckily, the Native people came up with the cancer answer. It's a concoction you can make that cures cancer. It's a lot of work to make it. I mean, they're selling it in health food stores now, pre-made, and it does help, does work. So, am I supporting the Native people over anybody else? Yes, I am. Because they weren't mass killers. They never were. They're being forced to become that. They were forced into that. Geronimo was one person with 13 people 13 people and one girl. 13 men. One girl. And they went around and took out a lot of armies. Those armies were trying to take them out. I'm not going to get into killing. It's never right. So the one wrong doesn't make another wrong right. 2 wrongs, 10 wrongs don't make a right. So, again, I don't support the killing part. They should have just died out. I said, when Jesus said turn your cheek, he meant leave. You don't need to stay here. You don't need to be around idiots, crazy, sick people. But as long as you hold on to that and say, well, I'm going to change them. You didn't change yourself yet. You're going to change these people on this planet? To what? Angels? Going to get them to think right? Then when they say marijuana is worse than anything else. No. Alcohol is the worst drug in the United States. Alcohol. It kills more people. Marijuana does not kill. Does not kill people. If you understand that, you might have a brain in your head. If you don't, you probably don't have a brain in your head. Drinkers get in a car and drive and run people over. People with a drink go home and beat their wives, kill their wives, kill their boyfriends, kill their girlfriends, whatever it is. Drunks do a lot of things. People that do marijuana go home and just close their eyes and relax. They're not out there thinking hard pain and suffering and torture or any of those words. They're mellow. You become mellow. You don't become evil. So yeah, make me president. I'd make liquor illegal. Well, go back to how they forced the native people to become drunks. When the whole Tea Party and all that stuff was going down, when they had native people around and they had these children, they kept them in Catholic prison camps until they were 16. Then they made them start drinking, but they were still trying to kill them. They were putting gunpowder in the stuff that they served them and everything else. They killed a lot, but they brought a lot of home that were drunks already, at children at 16. They were taken at 6 and brought back in 16. And that was till the beginning of pretty late in our early century. About the 20s, 30s, I'm not sure the exact date, but it was a long time. So who was prejudiced? Everybody. Who was evil? Everybody that was prejudiced. Because they're basing a prejudice on something they did not know, meaning the native people. Native people weren't horrible creatures like they made them out to be. It was the white race that created scalping, not the native people. And they paid big bucks for that. It was like $25 for a child scalp, $50 for a man scalp, and like $100 for a woman scalp. Vice versa. I'm bad with numbers, but it was horrible. So in the movies, they make the native people still look bad. Who's the judge of that? People that want to put the programmed idea out there and keep it there, which is our government. They don't want the government to know native people weren't as evil as we believe they were. It's like when Moses came off the mountain. He called them all evil, and it was all right to kill the demons. Call them something else, and then it's all right to kill them. Did they ever go out of their way to give back to the native people? Not to this day. Not to this day. And I'll tell you straight out, because you don't hear it on the news, because they can't put it on the news. The government's still going out of their way to wipe out the reservations. If native people leave the reservation, they don't care, because now they're adopting into being a, quote, normal human being. But on a reservation, they were still considered government property for the longest time. They changed the laws when they wanted to take out native people. Native people didn't have to have a license to drive on the reservation. They went in there one day and arrested everybody, you don't have a driver's license. And then they took the cars away. It's just perverted, twisted thinking, which is all based out of prejudice. And guess what? Mr. Trump is prejudiced. I don't care where you put him, what he says, what he does. Look at what's happening to the native people right now in the United States. Look at the people of Canada who are prejudiced against the native people as well. I can go into all those stories, but that's take us so far out of